Welcome to the Data Hall YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to talk about how do you standardize a variable in R. Now, standardization is a method that we use to put different variables on a same scale. So if you want to compare different variables that have different scale, for that what we do is we standardize these variables. Now, there are different ways of standardization. One is z-score, then we have mean centering, and then we have a different method that is called normalization. Now, these are what we are going to look into in how do we perform these in R. So let's start with z-score. Let's create this data. Now, what z-score does is we deduct the mean value of a variable from each of its value and divide each value by its standard deviation. So that way we have a variable that would have a mean of 0 and a standard deviation of 1. Now for that we have this function which is called scale, and let's say we have this data set. Let's create this data set. We have this data, we have this vector data called data, and we want to scale it and save it into this standard, into this object called standard. What we do is we use this scale, and if I can show you the mean of this variable or this vector, it is 0, and if I can show you the standard deviation or variance, it is equal to 1. We can do this same process on a data frame. So let's say we have this empty cast data frame that contain different variables related to car, their mileage, their gear ratio, etc., etc. And let's say we want to standardize this mpg variable, which stands for mileage. Again, we use the scale variable and we take into account the column that we want to standardize and what is the new column that would be created. If I execute this, we get this column in the in our data frame. Okay, so let's move to the second part, which is called normalization. Now, normalization is somewhat different from calculating z-score. Z-score would have a standard deviation of 1 and a mean of 0, but in normalization we would scale a variable to a fixed range. So typically that range is from 0 to 1. So for that we would have to install this tidyverse package because we would do some data wrangling with this tidyverse package. Now, I have already installed it. If you haven't, you would use this command first and then load this library using library and name of the package that we want to load. Now let's take the empty cast data and create, mutate this new column that is called normal mpg, and that would be equal to each value of mpg minus the minimum value of this mpg column. Now this whole divided by the range, which is the maximum of mpg minus the minimum of mpg. If I do that, we get a column that is called a normal mpg, and that is now normalized. We can create box plot of our mpg column, and we can also create a box plot of our standardized or normalized variable. Now that would give us, if there are outliers, these outliers would also be taken care of. This is what one of the benefits of standardization or normalization. The last technique is called mean centering, and in mean centering what we do is we only deduct the mean of the variable from each value and do not divide it by standard deviation. So that way the standard deviation remains the same as of the original variable, but its mean is now 0. So for that we take this displacement variable minus the mean of this variable, and I am setting this parameter equal to true so that it removes the missing value. So I press Ctrl Enter, and if I can show you the mean of and standard deviation of the original variable and also the newly created variable. Now this is the mean of our original variable, and this is the mean of the normalized variable. Its value is equal to 0, mean value is 0. The standard deviation is 1, 2, 3, and it remains the same when we do mean centering. But when we do standardization, the mean value would be 0 and the standard deviation would be equal to 1. So I hope this video was useful. Do subscribe to this channel and do hit the bell icon. Thanks for watching this video.